Hi, I'm Ken from Ken's Games Collection and welcome to my games room tour for the year 2020. This video has been a very long time in the making, but finally I've finished it after probably 6 months of working on it on and off. Here it is. Let's just cut the chit chat, hey, and just get into it. I really do hope you like what I present here. So without further ado, let's get into this games room tour. Thanks very much. So this is my gaming setup. I got a Panasonic TV, a 52-inch plasma TV that I've had probably for over 10-12 years, maybe even longer than that, and it's still going to this day. I've had modern TVs like a Samsung curved screen, and within 2 years it had a catastrophic failure, which I had to get a refund. Now we've got downstairs is a Bravia, Sony 65-inch Bravia, which is really good, but this thing is just a powerhouse. It's just kept going and going after all these years, and I love the picture quality of this. And this is, as I said, an old TV, but it really is great. Now the TV unit is actually from IKEA. Even the shelving I have here is IKEA, and my other bookcase on the other side of the room, it's all IKEA. I just find the quality is a lot better than stuff I had previously. And with the shelving where all my games are, I just find the particle board is a really good quality. There's no warping. I've had some of these Billy bookcases for over 3 years now. They're holding a lot of games on there, and there's no bending, which is really great. And that's why I do prefer paying a little bit more extra for, you know, for the TV unit, which is a little three shelf setup, but it's really cool. The Sony Playstation and the PlayStation Vita, two of my favorite handheld systems from Sony. What can I say? They were so cool. Especially years ago, I was doing fly-in, fly-out work. Before we were flying in, flying out via aircraft, it was like a 5-6 hour bus trip to get to onto site. So these things were really come in handy for me, just killing time playing some games on the bus, which was really cool. But both of these are really great little handheld systems. I just wish Sony would have supported the PlayStation Vita more. I feel that it was a great system. It did have some really cool first party support, but yeah, it's all finished now for the Vita. I don't think we're going to see another handheld system from Sony. What can I say? It's just was an utter failure, but it was an incredible system, I felt, and just wasted opportunity from Sony. PlayStation 4, this is how I got it set up. I don't know where else to put these things. I'm kind of running out of space, even with the IKEA TV unit I've got now. But I do love the PlayStation 4 with the games. You'll see I got heaps of games for this thing, and then I got the Sackboy, which I think really works well because I got my headphones. I didn't know where to put it, and he's just sitting there with a controller in his hand. I thought, okay, use his head to rest the headset on. It just looks really cool. Not really happy with the Nathan Drake figurine. It doesn't look like Nathan Drake, but hey, what can you do? So down in this shelf I have my PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 2, and behind it, I feel really bad for this, but I got my Sega Master System there at the moment. I don't have space to put it somewhere else yet. I've got an idea later on for the old retro systems as I get back, but it's just sitting down there for now. But with the PlayStation 2, that's the slim model, obviously not the big one which came out at release. I did have that version, but I got rid of it. The same with the PlayStation 3. I had the other version of it, and I think I originally had the one that was backward compatible with the PlayStation 2 games, and why I sold that I do not know, but one of those things. So I do have a pop vinyl there from Assassin's Creed, and obviously the other one is a Pixel Pal of Lara Croft, which is another cool thing. I don't really collect much of this sort of stuff, but I do have Kratos and Nathan Drake and a few other things there just to fill in space, and that's perfect for this sort of setup. The Wii U and the Xbox 360. Xbox 360, I haven't touched that for quite a while because a lot of the stuff now is backward compatible on the Xbox One, which is really cool. And with the Wii U, I look at it as being the prototype for the Nintendo Switch. That's the way I look at it. You know, for setup, I think that fits okay in there, but you know, this whole room could change within 6 months, and I might be back here doing another video then, but I don't want to think about that. But I do like this, the way I got this all set up in the IKEA TV unit. It's really cool. So to finish off, what is down in the shelving on the TV unit is obviously the Xbox One. Yeah, I know you can see some cables at the back there. It's just a gamer's nightmare with multiple systems, multiple cables. I need to get something to fix that up. I know, and I'll do that one day. But it's pretty big and bulky when you do realize, start realizing to put these things into these cabinets and stuff, that they do take up a lot of space compared to some of the earlier stuff like the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 slim models. But yeah, that's the only place I can put this at the moment, and I feel like if I do get retro consoles back, then I'm in big trouble. I'm gonna need something else. And finishing off this collection of consoles on this TV unit is of course the Nintendo Switch, which I seem to be playing a lot of lately, either in dock mode or in handheld mode. So I've got this all set up there with Mario and a nice little Legend of Zelda Perspex lamp or light, whatever you want to call it. It's really great to have that, and I should have turned it on for this video, but I didn't. But it's a great setup, I think, for the consoles that I have. I don't have a lot of retro consoles. I got the mini consoles. I would love someday maybe to get back some of those retro consoles. I don't know, but it just seems to be, you know, space. That's the biggest issue with all of us gamers. It seems to be the issue with space. And then this whole room is just a single bedroom, which I've converted into the games room. So this is all I have to work with, and you know, trying to fit everything in, it can be a bit of a hassle, but especially when I'm using this to record YouTube videos. But it all seems to be working well. So that's it. So this is where it all began for me with the Sega Master System. It would have been in either 1988 or 1989 when I first got it, and thanks to a good mate of mine who went out and bought the Master System and a game, he showed it to me, and that was it. I was hooked. Over the years I did amass a really good Sega Master System collection, but like a lot of us, when new consoles come out, what do? We sell off our consoles and the last gen games. I made a decision in 2018, I think it was, to rebuild the Master System collection. There was only 2 games I kept when I sold the Master System, and what you see here is a collection that I've been rebuilding since I think 2019, and there's been a lot of games that I wanted to get back. I had a list of games, but also I found myself buying games I never had before, like Vigilante, Double Dragon, Renegade. None of these games I ever owned back then, so it was a perfect opportunity for me to seriously think about getting some more games, and there were so many great bundles with when buying some of these games. So here is the very 2 games that got me hooked on gaming for life, I guess you could say. Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, and Phantasy Star. Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, the very first game I bought, loved it. I was looking for something else to play next, and I come across a game called Phantasy Star, which is my all-time favorite game. It is one of those games that, you know, 30 years on, I still play it. On the Nintendo Switch. Both of these games are available on the new systems, which is really cool. Now, I couldn't do a games room tour without showing my Tomb Raider Lara Croft collection. I've been a huge fan of the series since the very first Tomb Raider game. I had it on the Sega Saturn before the PlayStation. For some reason it got released on there first, but I do prefer it on the PlayStation. The graphics look really cool. One of my favorite games of all time. I was so immersed in this game with the level design, the feeling of being alone, whereas compared to today it's totally different. It's more like Uncharted, which is a shame, I feel. But Lara Croft and the Temple of Horus didn't get a physical release in America. This is released in UK, and it did get released here in Australia. It's kind of like it's kind of like a Diablo type of game, and it's really cool. And you can see some cool different figurines here, but if you can hunt down Temple of Horus, do, because you're gonna love it. It's a really cool game. Absolutely, it's great for what it was worth. And this is all I got for my games collection. There is only one PlayStation game, and that was the original Tomb Raider. I didn't have anything else left in the collection. I got rid of that stuff years ago. I didn't really like it until I think Last Revelation came out, so that was really cool. I do have Lara Croft and the Angel of Darkness, which is a nightmare of a game, really killed off the series, but everything else in there that came after that I felt is really cool. Now this Lara Croft statue, I actually won this many years ago in a competition run by an independent game store. All you had to do was buy one of the Tomb Raider games that was released at that time. You went into the draw, and lo and behold, I won it. The PlayStation Portable, who would have thought that Sony would take the risk of releasing a handheld system? And this one really did pay off. There was so many great games on the PlayStation Portable, and what I remember of it and what you can see here in this collection is a lot of RPGs, Japanese RPGs. It was just like a haven for anybody that was a fan of that genre, and there is a lot of RPGs on the PlayStation Portable, and there's even more that I don't own in this collection. But also you have games like Daxter was really cool, the Patapon games was great. I absolutely love what was on it. And just look at these game manuals. This is something we don't see these days, is gaming manuals with games, and I just love the artwork on the PlayStation Portable manuals. But for me, it was a great system. The only downfall, I think, was because it was a disc base. You had those UMDs and those things would just spin, and you wouldn't get that much battery life out of it. It wouldn't be until the PlayStation Vita was released and they would go back to cartridges, which prolonged the battery life on that system. But still, they did do the PlayStation Go, which was all digital download only. But for me, that's not where I want to be in collecting games. I need to have the physical game in my hand so I can display it, look at it, you know, all that sort of stuff. You pay a lot of money for these things, and I do prefer physical. A lot of these games I picked up when my wife and I were on holidays in Singapore, and we came across a shop over there and got an amazing deal on a lot of stuff that you can see here. Probably half the games, or maybe not that much, but there's a lot of games there that I got at a decent price, and I'm so glad to have what I have in this collection. And I think I'm pretty well done with collecting for the PlayStation Portable. A great system. So here are three of my smallest collections. Starting off with the Dreamcast. I did have over 30 games in the collection back in the day, but this is all that's left. Jet Set Radio is a great game, along with Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation, which is probably one of the best Tomb Raider games. Now moving on to the PlayStation original, again I had a lot of games in the collection, but I got rid of them. I did keep Exhumed, Tomb Raider. Everything else you see there, I actually started rebuilding, and I haven't gone back to it since, but I would like to some stage over 2020. And yes, I do have a Nintendo DS collection. Again, I started collecting for this system and pretty much stopped. I got a few games. It's not really what I'm into. I like the 3DS more. I do have some Zelda games, but they'll be shown later on. Some of the great games in this is Sonic Chronicles, which is a brilliant game. I absolutely love that one. There's some Dragon Quest games in there. Kingdom Hearts is really cool as well. But overall, I'm not going to get any more games for this system. There's some there, I think maybe even Chinese copies, especially the Mario games. So that's those small collections. So one thing I do love about gaming is art books. I'm not really into the player's guides, but I do have some here. Legend of Zelda, the Phantom Hourglass, and the Twilight Princess. Also I have the Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu player's guide, which was given to me by Oz Game Shop, which was really cool of them to do that. Hyrule Historia is really great there as well. But as you can see on the right hand side, the manga series of Legend of Zelda, which is unbelievable. It comes in 10 books. I just love reading that. It's fantastic. It's really cool. So I'm so glad to have that in the collection. Legend of Zelda Hyrule Historia is brilliant. It only goes up to, I think, the Twilight Princess. The Book of Uncharted is another cool art book. That goes up to Uncharted 3 from 1 to 3. Really cool. And the collector's edition of Prince of Persia. Nintendo 3DS. Believe it or not, this was the system that got me back into Nintendo. For a long time, I wasn't into Nintendo since the N64 came out. I didn't like it. By that stage, every other system, Sega, even PlayStation, they had moved on to disc-based games. And I felt that cart-based games was not the way to go for me back then. And I didn't go on to the GameCube or even the Wii. So this was a system that got me back into Nintendo. So many great games on this system, as you can see here. Castlevania Lord of Shadow, Mirror of Fate is unbelievable. Donkey Kong Country is great. And I really like the 3D aspect of this thing. I did have the original 3DS, but when the 3DS XL came out, I grabbed that because the way that the 3D works was a lot better. You didn't have to be looking straight on the screen all the time. You could actually track your eye movement, so that was really cool. And this is one of my favorite pieces in the collection, the Legend of Zelda Majora Mask. That's a skin for the Nintendo 3DS. I got that off eBay. I just absolutely love it. It really pops with those colors. The purples behind Link and Link's colors green is just fantastic. I love that so much. And more games in the system. Metroid is unbelievable. It takes me back to the Super Metroid days. It's just so cool. And there is so many Mario games on this system. It's just absolutely ridiculous when you look at how many Mario games is on the Nintendo 3DS. And there's still some games there I don't have. Hopefully I can get some of those games later on. And again, the same with Legend of Zelda. There was a heap of Legend of Zelda games on this system, and to me all of these games are great. And I did get to go back to play Majora Mask and Ocarina of Time, which I didn't do back in the N64 days. There's obviously some Pokemon games in there as well. There's a few that I still love to get, but we'll see what happens with that. So overall, it's a great system. Persona Q I tracked down, luckily I did. But that's it, my 3DS collection. So here is my PlayStation 3 collection. As you can see, I have a lot of Assassin's Creed games on this system. It's one of my favorite franchises. Right next to that in Japanese writing is actually an Ape Escape game, which is move capabilities on it. I do have the move, it's not bad. Burnout Paradise is phenomenal. That's one of my favorite car destruction games ever. Beatles Rock Band is really cool. Now with Ducktales Remastered, I thought I was buying the physical copy, but inside was a digital download code, which I was so devastated about that. Little Big Planet games is really cool. I'd like to see that on the next gen system at some stage. We have God of War. Enslaved is such a hidden gem. Along with, we have, I think, Fallout 3, which is a great game, and we have Fallout New Vegas, which I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite game in the series by far. The Blob 2 is really great. Yeah, there is God of War games there. Now Ghostbusters was a broken game. It was released in standard definition. It wasn't even in 720p when it was released, but I think the remaster taken care of that. GTA 4, which I don't like at all. To me, it didn't feel like a proper GTA game. God of War, there's another one in Japanese writing, Chinese writing, which is Genji, which is great. Hotshot Golf, I absolutely love. And the Infamous series is really cool. So moving along, this collection is over 100 games in this PlayStation 3 collection. Metal Gear Solid 4, I absolutely love. Mirror's Edge was an incredible game when it first came out. That one just popped out of nowhere. To me, that's a forgotten diamond. As with Mini Ninja, it's kind of like cartoon graphics, but it's a fantastic game. The Overlord games are really cool. The Puppeteer is a great game. I have Prince of Persia, which is great. There's the trilogy as well. And of course Ratchet and Clank. There's so many Ratchet and Clank games on the PlayStation 4. You don't realize how many games there was until you actually look at it. It's amazing to think that. Ridge Racer 7, look, every time there was a new system release, you'd be guaranteed a Ridge Racer game. Soul Calibur is unbelievable. I love that one. I think it's Soul Calibur 4. The Simpsons game is really good as well. It just looks like the cartoon series. Is phenomenal how they were able to do that. And who would have thought South Park: The Stick of Truth would be an unbelievably good game? And hats off to Ubisoft for taking a chance and releasing that game. So finishing off this PlayStation 3 collection, Sorcerer is really cool, Star Ocean is great. The orange box would have to be one of the best collections I've seen. It's got Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Episodes 1 and 2, Portal, Team Fortress, which is incredible. I love that game. It's probably one of the best ones I've ever come across, with so many different games on it, and Portal was amazing. I just love playing the Team Fortress 2 stuff. So that's my PlayStation 3 collection. So here is my small Wii collection. I actually didn't anticipate collecting any Wii games, but because of the Wii U and the backward compatibility, I thought I would give it a go, try some of the games out. My nephew and niece, they owned the Wii and they absolutely loved it, but for me it wasn't what I wanted back then. But there's some great games here, like the Super Mario Galaxy games is really cool. Paper Mario is brilliant, but that's all I got for that collection. And the original Xbox. I had a pretty decent sized collection back in the day, and most of this has been rebuilt. And the main reason why I got the Xbox in the first place wasn't for Halo, it was for Jet Set Radio Future. I was a massive fan of that game on the Dreamcast, and I always looked at the original Xbox as being kind of like the Dreamcast 2. That's the way I looked at it, and that's why it felt to me. There's so many great games on there. It was way better than the PlayStation 2 graphics. Half-Life is an amazing game. The Thai games, the Tasmanian Tigers, Oddworld, Galleon, there's so many great games on this system, and I would hopefully one day like to continue rebuilding it. We'll see how that goes, but it's a great system and a lot of great games were released on here from Sega, and that's why I loved it so much. Without a doubt, Sony's most popular system, PlayStation 2, which has sold over 158 million units worldwide since January 2013, which is phenomenal numbers for the PlayStation 2. It eclipsed the PlayStation graphically. I had one at release, and what happens when the PlayStation 3 gets released? I sold off my PlayStation 2 collection, which, yeah, smart move, wasn't it? But I have to say, back in 2016, me and my wife was in Singapore, and I came across a store that had a lot of PSP and PlayStation 2 games that he sold me at a decent price. So that sort of sparked my interest in recollecting for the PlayStation 2. Jack and Daxter Experimentation, which is a hidden gem, Red Faction, which is a great game. The list goes on, and there were so many Grand Theft Auto games on there as well. Kingdom Hearts, it just was an incredible system. Metal Gear Solid, oh, incredible. And you'll see that I have some Japanese games. A mate of mine actually gave me his Japanese games that he didn't want anymore, and that was just unbelievable to be able to get something like that. But it's a great system. It had a lot of great games. What can I say? It has been a lot of fun recollecting for it and discovering new games that I never played before, and that's what it's all about. You know, especially when you sell off your collection, sell off all those retro games, you want to get them back, and that's what I've been doing recently. Having a lot of fun doing it too. Nintendo Switch. I never thought this would be my most popular system of this current gen, considering it's not as powerful as the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, but what it has is the portability, and that's what I really like about this collection. And I started collecting for it in 2017. I actually got the Nintendo Switch for a Father's Day present, so that was really cool. And I've been playing a lot of it lately. I just love a lot of the games that are on it from Nintendo themselves, but there's so many independent games on it as well, which is really cool. From Limited Run, I Am 8-Bit, super rare games. It's really cool. Right now, as I film this, I am so immersed in Astral Chain. It was one of my favorite games on the Switch at the moment. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff here. There's actually some custom made covers because I've got digital games, but I wanted to have some sort of physical case of it. It's a great system. I just can't stop playing it. It's a great console, and I recommend it to anybody, especially with young kids. They're gonna love it. It's super cool. PlayStation Vita. I've got to say, I started collecting for this system back in 2014, and it was only 3 games I had to begin with. And just to see how I've amassed this collection over the course of 6 years now, I didn't think I was ever going to collect this many Vita games. There's currently about 124 Vita games in this collection. I just love the diversity of what is in this collection. Games like Super Dimension, Neptuna versus Sega, Hard Girls is a great game. Just love that one. Assassin's Creed Chronicle, Tokyo Xanadu, which it took a long time for me to find that one. It was really expensive, but I did find it really cheap. So that was really cool. This is a real niche game. It's the Project Diva games. It really isn't that popular outside of the West, but I do enjoy them. Sly Cooper, the trilogy, is really cool. I like that one. And of course we have a whole heap of Hyperdimension games. It's just, I think there's like 7 or 8 games on the PlayStation Vita, but there's a lot of diversity here, like I said, and that's what I like about the Vita. It was a great system that was seriously overlooked by Sony. You know, they did some great games to begin with, like the Gravity Rush game. Then they went on to do a few other things, but they really didn't support it, and that's why I think it failed. It had a lot of potential. If they would have put it together as a bundle with the PlayStation 4, maybe that would have helped them. But the reason why I got the Vita in the first place was for Uncharted Golden Abyss. Unbelievable game by Ben Studios. I absolutely love it. Just what they did on the handheld system was absolutely phenomenal. And you know, I've got heaps of games, and even behind the Uncharted games there's more games. The Nintendo Wii U, probably not the most successful console ever from Nintendo. It didn't sell that well after the success of the Wii, but for me it was a way back into Nintendo along with the Nintendo 3DS, and I absolutely loved the games that were on the Wii U. And the main reason why I got the Wii U was for Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. I remember that on the GameCube and I really wanted it, but you know, I didn't get it. So after all those years, to get a remaster of that game, that was the reason why I got it. But there was a lot of great titles on it, not too much third-party support. We had Ubisoft, who was probably one of the better supporters of the Nintendo Wii U, but I look at it as being a prototype to what would later become Nintendo Switch. And we're seeing a lot of Nintendo Switch games get it ported from the Wii U, and for me that's a good thing. That's great for those that missed out on the Wii U and have got Nintendo Switch. But for me, it was a great system, a lot of great first-party titles, and it's just incredible what Nintendo was able to pump out over the lifespan of the Wii U. This would have to be my all-time favorite Sega Saturn game, Nights into Dreams. It was a great game back in the day, came with the 3D controller which worked perfectly for this game. And just have a look at this figurine which I picked up a few years ago. It's just so beautifully detailed, and behind there is the Japanese copy of Nights into Dreams, and there's Christmas Nights, which was a giveaway from Sega. That was so cool. And to find years ago when I was going through a box, I still had Nights into Dreams. I thought I got rid of it years ago, but it was one of the few games that I did keep after I got rid of the collection, and that is the Japanese box set of Nights into Dreams. I just love the white cover with the character on there. It really stands out. It's a great game. Again, the figurine is just so amazing, and it's one of my top 5 games of all time. I just love the whole Nights into Dreams. I love to start collecting more stuff for it. Without doubt, for this current gen, the best-selling system is the PlayStation 4. I got this on day one. Well, kind of. I was working fly-in, fly-out work when the PlayStation 4 was released, so I had to wait like 3 weeks before I could get my hands on it. I come back home for my R&R, and what happens? EB Games goes and sells my pre-order of the PlayStation 4, so I wasn't happy about that. It wasn't until I think the morning that I was supposed to be flying back to work, I get a call saying that they got it back in stock, and I had to rush there to get it, take it, well, actually took it to the airport with me and took it on site. I already had a couple of games for it, so I couldn't wait to start playing it. And this thing has got so many great games, great exclusive games by the Sony first-party studios. Uncharted 4 was unbelievable, along with Uncharted Lost Legacy. I never really took the time to play that. I was thinking I wanted to play as Nathan Drake, so I didn't get it, but when I saw it go down in price, I got it and I just absolutely loved it. But a great system, and backward compatible with the PlayStation 5, I'm pretty sure, but it is one of my favorite systems of all time. And just the amount of games on it, I think this is actually now my largest collection, is the PlayStation 4 collection. Over 127, 128 games at the time of recording this. The Xbox 360 was an incredible system. When you compare it to the graphics on the PlayStation 3, I felt that the Xbox 360 had an edge over it. So many great games was released on it. A few of my favorite games on the Xbox 360 would have to be Far Cry Instinct Predator, a great multiplayer game where you could actually make your own levels, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And I saw so many incredible level designs on the multiplayer, which just blew me away with what people could do with that. Great first-person shooter, single-player game, really cool. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Halo, but Halo Reach did it for me. For some reason, I just loved that game and I played it so much. The Crash Bandicoot games, I was really looking forward to a Crash Bandicoot game, and these ones were okay, compared to what we saw on the PlayStation back in the day, but I did enjoy them. And Crackdown was an incredible game as well. Alan Wake, recently just got into playing that. I don't know why it took so long to do that, but I've got into playing that. And you can see there's a couple of Xbox original games there just filling in this space. I've probably got close to about 46 games on the Xbox 360. I don't think there's anything else I really want to collect for it. I've got everything that I want. When it came to games on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, if it was the same, I would go after it on the Xbox 360 because graphically it looks way better. So that's the main reason why I did get the 360, was so I could get games that look better. And I think the Star Wars games look way better on the 360, and that was another incentive for me to get it. But great system. Microsoft, a bit hit and miss with their consoles, I think, but this one was really cool. So being a collector, when we buy collector's editions, we get heaps of boxes. So I wanted to try and display them in the game room in some form. And I put them on top of a shelf just to see what I can display. And there's a lot of stuff there that I can't display. It's just too many boxes, but I did pick the ones that I really like the most. And there's some plushies in there, just some random items just to make it look really cool. the Xbox One. What can I say? I really wasn't that interested in it until I heard about Sunset Overdrive was going to be released on it. I've got to admit, I'm not a huge Halo fan, so that one did not interest me, but as soon as I heard that Insomniac Games was releasing a game for the Xbox One at release, I was like, oh my god, you're kidding me, and I got it based on that. There is a lot of great exclusive games on there. I do like it. It is kind of like my backup system for compared to the PlayStation 4. There is so much more storage space on the Xbox One, and it could take a external hard drive. When it was released, it wasn't until years later that Sony would actually allow you to hook up an external hard drive to save games onto the external hard drive, and that was one of the things I really liked about the Xbox One. I was able to do all that sort of stuff, but it was a great system. It has 4K capability if you got Xbox One X. I'd love to get that one, but we're getting the Series X coming out soon, so I'm getting confused with all these numbers as X, S. It's crazy, but it is a great system. Some great titles like Ori. I love the Ori series. It was an incredible series on the Xbox. We're seeing some of this stuff from Microsoft Studios coming over to the Nintendo Switch. Is really bizarre, but hey, whatever it takes. But a great system. Love it. Really cool. One of my go-to systems it would be. When I first heard that Sega was going to release a 16-bit console that was based on the arcade games like Altered Beast, Golden Axe, I got really excited for it. And I did buy the Australian release of the Mega Drive when it first came out. About a year after that, I came across a great import store here in Brisbane that had the Mega Drives, that had the Japanese Super Nintendos, which was really cool, and also a lot of the Japanese games that went with it. I had my Mega Drive converted so I could play those Japanese games, and the first time I went into the Grey Import store in Brisbane, I came across a game just looking on the shelf, just blew me away just with the art cover, and that was Streets of Rage, or Bare Knuckle as it was called in Japan. And from then on, I would go to his store looking for Japanese games. I couldn't play the RPGs, but the action adventure games was really cool. I just love the Japanese artwork. When you look at Quackshot, unbelievable artwork. Wonder Boy is also another cool one. Bare Knuckle, just so cool. It really pops out compared to the I feel the Western release games. Here's another example, Bonanza Brothers, Sonic and Eastward. Cool artwork, way much better, but it was a great system that I did have. Unfortunately, when the Sega Saturn was released, guess what I do? I did keep the Japanese games, but I sold all my Aussie Mega Drive games and the Mega Drive for the Sega Saturn. Wasn't that a brilliant choice?